It's another week. Gentlemen, welcome to the Unpaid Nobody's podcast. How are we doing?
Hello, everyone. We're back.
We're back.
Um,
We're
I
doing
don't know. I'm doing good.
yeah. This was a
I'm
fun
kind of
week. This was a good research week for me.
yes, absolutely. And it didn't take too much work. I actually enjoyed going back
Yeah,
and learning
no, it
about
was a
this stuff.
very effortless dive. We're doing another artist profile. We're doing
It's
Vince
been a while.
Staples. Yeah. We haven't done one since Tyler in like early February.
And that was to
Uh
celebrate Jasper coming on.
yes. So, I'm doing another one, Vince Staples. Very excited. This was a good discography to go back to and, slight spoilers. Uh, Give it its fair due because I feel like most things I've listened to before, but uh, what I was able to revisit,
hmm
it feels like a hit for the first time in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm honestly in the exact same boat. I thought I had listened to everything the day I suggested it, and then you was like, "Wait, did you listen to like Hell Can Wait?" And that's what you're saying you were listening to, and I was like, "I don't even know what that is."
Yeah.
So I had quite a pleasant surprise to
Yeah.
like find an entire album that I
No.
genuinely didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think we got a nice little week for releases here. No
it is.
giant names, but definitely at least one album I'm very excited to talk about. Well,
Yes.
one giant name.
Yeah. I was gonna say we have a lot of releases coming out this week. Um, believe it or not, everyone's been kind of saying this might be like the biggest release we've had yet, just because of the large names. We have an album's worth of singles, coming out. But starting off with the albums, we have Nas and Hit Boy coming out with Magic 2.
Yeah.
Um, a genre classic legend big name. So
Yeah.
uh,
Nas is as
can't go wrong.
legend as they come. And on a hot streak.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I've listened to
I'm
King
ready.
Disease 1 and 2. I haven't gotten the 3 yet. But
Okay.
like he's on a hot streak ever since the album in 2018 wasn't great, but ever since that hump he's
Mhm.
been really doing good work.
And it must be said that like out of all the older people, he's clearly the front runner in my opinion.
I
Just
would
the fact
say.
that you're still as involved in the genre and the industry
I agree.
as you are there
I agree. Like
kind of takes it to me.
of the people from the last generation, he's the one that
Exactly.
is, and people who had a career in the last generation too. I
Mhm.
mean, uh,
I mean, everyone else has gone different directions. That's the
yeah,
thing.
everyone
Snoop
else is
has
gone.
done other stuff. Jay-Z, Diddy's doing other stuff. Like Nas is
No,
actually like
he's still
making
in the,
music.
yeah, he's still very much part of the cultural conversation around the music. So yeah,
Exactly.
no, I really am into this. And then we have
Um,
a local legend,
yeah,
Valet, coming out with Virtuoso, produced by Harry Fraud.
this is gonna be huge. This is
This is
pretty
gonna be
big.
fun. Yeah, no, I love Harry Fraud. He's
Mhm.
a he is a excellent uh like 2010s producer to me. Like very like shimmery production. I'm very excited to see what this sounds like.
Oh yeah,
And like
absolutely.
I've been listening to Valet for since I don't know if it's Valet or Valet. Um
Mhm.
but I've listened to him since 2018, 2019 when Womp Womp came out. Still one of
That's a
the
classic.
Still one of the most I cannot ever skip that song.
I mean, it's a really good song.
It's a
You're gonna hear
real
it at a lot of cookouts, so
no, yeah, it's a
which is good.
classic. It is a classic.
And a lot of big names, honestly, for it. That's another thing that stood
Yeah,
out to me. You have Saba, Action Bronson, Mavi, Twista. Like, it's a lot of good things going on here. So
yeah,
I'm ready for it. We also have Ice Spice coming out with the deluxe to the like EP.
yeah.
Um, I did want to briefly discuss it just because have you heard any of the snippets?
No, I haven't.
Anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I heard like when it came out and like it's not for me, obviously. Like, but it's
Of course.
halfway decent at what it's for.
I think this is going to be not like a major test because it's just a deluxe, but I am interested to see how the community accepts it in general. Because I've
Yeah,
already seen people be like, "Oh, well, you guys are harsh on Megan because she sounded the same," and blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, well, this is now going to be that point where they might start pushing Ice Spice, and I want to see her excel past it. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm really excited to see her make the next step and get that first album out.
right.
You know,
That's
like
gonna be a big
that's
standing
gonna be
point
a
for her.
moment, and if she steps up to the plate, I think the world is hers.
Oh yeah. But now we're getting to literally the biggest singles that
Yeah.
we've had all year. Um,
Yeah, this is a huge release for a huge
this
weekend.
is a this first song is like the formula to streaming. But we have Travis Scott coming out with the first single to Utopia. He is coming out with a song called K-pop featuring The Weeknd and Bad Bunny. It's a
Eh,
lot going on
That's
here.
that's that's a flex. That's two of
Yeah,
the biggest
that's
stars in the world,
I'm back.
right? Like,
That is literally Michael Jordan being like, "I'm back."
yeah,
It's a
no,
big
that's a big flex. I mean, like, I've always really liked the songs Travis Scott has done with The Weeknd.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm
Mm,
and I'm I'm not the biggest reggaeton listener, but I do like Bad Bunny.
mhm.
So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about this. Uh, but like it's hard to just get hyped off like the name
I
K-pop.
know.
Like I have
That's
no
true.
idea what to expect. I'm there. I'm gonna be listening to this before I go to sleep tonight. But like
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
and starting off with an able feature, I think is smart. And I think it also just shows that Travis Scott still knows his strengths, which is bringing people together and like
Mhm.
bringing new interesting sounds out of other people. I think that really is one of Travis Scott's real big strengths. Um, so yeah, no, I'm
Mm,
excited to listen to this.
I fully agree on everything you just said. I'm taking a stance now. I'm taking a take. This is going to be the most streamed song of the year,
Yeah, almost certainly.
just simply because of the fan base.
Yeah, just because of
So
Bad Bunny,
yeah,
Bad
like the
Bunny
fan base, The Weeknd
that
and Bad
cro-
Bunny. Those
that
are the two like
crossover.
most streamed people.
My only thing is that I think the argument is that Travis Scott and The Weeknd have like a very like the Venn diagram of their fan bases is
Mhm.
probably a lot more overlap than the Venn diagram with like Bad Bunny.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, so
And
and like
combining
look
all this
and
shit.
I really like when Travis Scott pulls artists from like other like with different sounds. Like
Mm,
franchise, the single he released like a few years back. I'm a big fan of the MIA feature. She has been releasing classics since I was in high school. Uh
yeah.
so I thought like he was able to bring out some like really cool shit out of her. And
Mm.
yeah, I see Bad Bunny as like in the same boat. Someone who's super talented in their own right, doesn't need help bringing out dope shit, but like, the
He
chemistry
can when he
the
wants to.
chemistry could be
Yeah.
there. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
I'm so this is a green flag for me.
Oh yeah. Surprisingly enough, this is not the first rollout song we're getting this week.
Yeah.
We are also getting the rollout to Right or the rollout for Don't Be Dumb, which is as ASAP Rocky's next album coming out. The single will be called Riot featuring Pharrell Williams.
I heard this
Um,
this afternoon. Have you guys heard this yet?
yes, I actually sat down and listened to it. I didn't realize the music video was what like all the memes were about. I
Oh,
thought it was gonna be leading up to something
I haven't
else.
seen the memes. But no, I just listened to the
So
song
yeah.
and I fucked with it. I thought the hook was like good, not great, but I thought everything
Mhm.
else. I thought the production was incredible. I thought Rocky was, really great on the verses. So, and it's a Rodney Piper reference.
Mhm.
So I love any kind of wrestling reference. So I'm in. This was great. This was
I I recommend watching the music video.
okay.
I don't know if you probably saw on like different social media and stuff of him just like randomly full sprinting through the streets in Tim's on, and it's just like,
Yeah.
what is ASAP doing? It was for this. This is
Uh.
a promotion video for the new Beats headphones, and like in the
Oh,
music video, it's him sprinting through the streets with a like t-shirt do-rag on, Tim's and sagging jeans, and like 50 people behind him sprinting.
amazing.
So it definitely works. But I'm excited for Don't Be Dumb. I've seen the not the feature list, the producer list, and this is going to be ridiculous. So I'm very ready for it.
No.
Um, we also have Denzel Curry coming out with Blood on My Nikes. This is another thing that I've been hearing teasers for quite some time. And I
Yeah.
think this is going to be a rollout for his album eventually.
Yeah, like is this cuz like he had an album last year and it's like granted really early in the year, if he's going to release something in, November, that's closer to 2 years than one. But
Mhm.
I'm I'm into it. Denzel is like probably one of my golden boys right now. So,
I actually had a question about the name. Well, not necessarily the name, the spelling, because he's been doing this for a while.
that was like
I
on
thought
Taboo.
this was exclusive to Taboo.
I
Okay,
think I wonder if this means it's going to have like a sound almost like Taboo.
okay. I didn't know if
Cuz
like
like
it was one of those things where he always does it, or if it was
yeah.
Taboo.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely associate it mostly with Taboo. Like I don't really think he's ever done it on any other album. And
Hmm.
you know, I don't think Taboo's like a massive genre switch or anything, but it certainly has a different sound than the rest of Denzel's uh music.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be shocked if this is just like something in like a new direction, in that same direction.
Which one do you prefer?
I don't know, cuz like I do like Taboo a lot, and I like the rock sound. I think he did it really, really well. Or like not even rock sound, but like the very dark, like crackly kind of sound. But I
Hmm.
loved what he did on Melt My Eyes with like the jazz and like the soul samples. To be honest, like I would kind of like want him to either explore new sounds
Okay.
or like keep developing that. Maybe even go in like a boom bap direction. Uh, I just kind of want to see him flexing on all these different kinds of genres because I think that really defines his career is just like his consistency and his flexibility.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That is actually very true because I just went back to listen to Taboo for the first time, like legitimately, like sit down and listen to it,
yeah,
and like it's so much different from Melt My Eyes, and I couldn't
yeah.
decide which one I like more. And then this
There's
week, I don't know why.
yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know why this week, but like I went back and I looked up all the like quote unquote best Griselda albums, and
Yeah,
he's like painted all over it. So like he can even do that sound.
yeah,
So it's just like he literally can do
yeah.
everything. So
He
it's true.
he he could do like whatever he wants. So like, I'm not upset at all if he goes back to that sound. And this could even be like a Lucy or something. Like I'm not sure,
Yeah, that's
but
true.
it's Denzel. I'm into it. Like that's kind of like what it comes down to.
Oh yeah. Another huge single coming
Yeah,
out.
this is
We've got a lot.
pretty much most weeks of the year. All four of these would have been all six
Yeah,
would have been the biggest
would have been like
singles
the biggest single.
of the
Yeah.
year of the week.
But next up we have Boz coming out with Passport Boys featuring J. Cole.
Is this one out yet?
Um, this one is out with a music video, and I will say I sat down and I watched and I listened to it. This is the most unique J. Cole sound I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
Like
Boz
ever.
though, right?
It is Boss's single, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of just like it's just really uplifting, playful, like back outside kind of vibes for the summer. And it's just something I never really say J. Cole like play with that much. And don't get me wrong, like his verse isn't some out of the world type of thing, but like the fact that I can go on Instagram and look at his newest post promoting the song, and literally everybody was like, J. Cole's outside with Casamigos. Like, what's going on?
yeah,
It's very confusing.
I'm into it. Free
Yeah.
J Cole, I say. Uh,
But yeah, it's super exciting to see this
yeah,
new sound form, and it's at least from the vibes that I've gotten from all the other promotion from Boz. This is the lead up,
for
another
an
lead up
album.
single for the album. It's like why do we only talk about shit when we're sad or something like that? I
Yeah,
forgot the full title of it.
it comes out early
Um,
next month, right?
yeah, something like that. And I'm just kind of surprised because it does not fit at the title of the album or the rest of the things that I've heard about it. So
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know if this is actually going to be on the album, but I'm excited for it.
Interesting.
Um, We also have the return of J Rock, who we haven't heard from in a very long time. But he's got a song coming out called "Too Fast" featuring Anderson .Paak and Lotto. The return of TD. We're here for it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally into that. Love J Rock, love Anderson Pack, even like me
Hmm.
some Lotto from time to time. So
Exactly.
I've seen snippets from this on social, and yeah, no, this looks like
Mhm.
a really fun summer song. So yeah, no, this damn, there really is just like
It's a lot.
a crazy amount of uh what is it like singles dropping. Goddamn.
I know. And then
Yeah.
all of these are like major things leading up to a project. So like
Yeah.
I'm biting my tongue forever saying it's been a slow year.
Yeah.
Then we have another rollout single to
Yeah.
another album from someone we haven't heard in a while. We have No Name is back. Jesus Christ, how long has it been? She is
Yeah.
dropping the single Balloons featuring Jay Electronica and Aaron Allen Kane. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Do
yeah,
we
super excited for this.
do we want to talk about the controversy around this?
There has already been controversy, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what have you read so far?
Well, basically the idea is that Jay Electronica just has some very Kanye-esque opinions about a certain religion.
This is true.
Uh and I think No Name just has egg on her face. I don't think it's impossible for her to recover from this because, or like, not to like take this out because it's like she has deeply progressive values, and you know what? Like, it might be unpopular to say, but I kind of agreed with her on everything she's ever done. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I remember there was a lot of pushback when she said like she stopped doing live shows because she didn't want white people singing her music.
Oh,
That's her
I
music.
forgot about
That's
that.
her
I
music.
forgot about that. Yeah, that did
That's her
happen.
music. She can stand on that. I think that's totally fine. And if that's what she wants, that's what she wants to do. Right.
It's her
So she's
loss.
someone who has like a deeply, like a genuine, deep, like radical beliefs. And I respect the shit out of it because like it's what the world needs. Right. And Jay Electronica doesn't. And then,
Yeah.
someone tweeted it and, called Jay Electronica Jadolf Smittler.
Which actually ended up being in a song.
Yeah, well, no, because that's what's crazy. Because like then she
Yeah, yeah.
responded. She responded to the tweet like, "Oh, like if you want to disagree with him, that's okay, but to compare him to Hitler, like that's uncalled for." And then he's like, "That's what he said about him.
Like
That's how he
himself.
described himself. Like that's
Right.
so it's
That's
like
literally what he said about himself.
you can't use that argument of like, oh, you're no, dude, this is like what he said.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of like heartbreaking to see like, oh well, clearly everyone's morals and principles like falter
Yeah.
in some way because like look, if this was Schoolboy Q putting on a song with Jay Electronica, I'd still be like, he's fucked up, right? But like I wouldn't so much like
Right.
project it. Or if it was someone like Doechii, but like if you really stand on those progressive principles, you got to stand on that for like everyone,
I
right?
agree. Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, that's kind of just my feeling on it. So I still love No Name. I still have a whole lot of
Mhm.
respect for No Name and always will, but this was just not a good look.
It's true. I fully agree, and what really sucks about it is like you can't really take a stance of like, oh, maybe she didn't know, or maybe she meant this. It's just because like No Name is so strategic in what she does and like so purposeful. It's
Yeah.
like okay, you could have dropped literally any leading single, and then like
Yeah.
you coming back after years is like now you have to defend this
And the
person,
other thing is
and
that
you're
like
defending bad takes.
and like the thing I think the other part that's like heartbreaking is that like No Name is very smart. And like
Yeah,
she clear
exactly.
and like there's arguments you could make. You could be like, yeah, I think everyone like deserves to have their voice heard or whatever. I mean, like No Name had to change her rap name because there was a slur in it at one point, and it's like, now that's a slur was unaware was a slur until well after she changed her name. So like,
Right.
I'm not gonna ever like besmirch her, but like people like learn and like grow and develop, and she could have done that, like gone that route. And you know
Hmm.
what? I probably would have been like, that's good enough for me. but like to just like double down and be like, this no, don't you dare use the thing this man called himself once.
Yeah, that's true. No, I agree
You
with her.
know, so it wasn't a great look, but you know,
We're gonna see how it turns
we're gonna
out.
see
I'm
how
actually
it.
curious.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it turns out. And like she's apparently tweeting that like she might not even drop the album anymore if people don't want it. And like, and that's the thing is that like I saw someone respond to it, and
Jesus
to
Christ.
me it was like it validated my opinions because like everything I had seen about the controversy was from like Jewish people, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like that's totally fair, but I want to see like one black person like go into that. And then
You
it
know
was
how that goes.
someone reacting. Well, no, it was someone reacting to this
Right.
tweet, and it was just like, "No, we want
Right.
the album. We just don't want this guy
It's
on
like,
it."
yeah. Like, please don't
Like,
cut
no,
the
we
whole
want the
album.
album.
But, like, fix your
We
mistake.
want the album. No, like bones about it. Like, so yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. It was also like
Um,
there wasn't a whole lot of discourse around it, which is probably for the best.
I mean, that's the other thing that she kind of benefits from, even if it's not intentional.
Nah,
It's her name.
nah.
Like, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say
no,
people don't care, but like, it's a smaller crowd.
yeah. It's not even that. Like, it's all she's treaded these waters before.
That is also true.
Yeah.
She's familiar with how to handle it. And then we also got some other singles. There's still more singles. Lil Tecca has returned. He's not dead. He's dropping 500 pounds tonight. So excited to finally hear from him again.
Wow, that's a lot of
I
weight to
know a
lose in
lot of
12
the
hours, but okay.
yeah. um, it- I'm excited to see where he goes with this, just because like he's one of those people that like I am actually happy that he chose to do what he did. And it's just get your bag and disappear for a little bit and
Yeah.
live your life. You don't need to stay in Hollywood and lose yourself if that's not you.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
yeah,
okay with that.
like yeah, like look, if you enjoy being in Hollywood, first off, gross and weird. Secondly, that's fine. You should do that.
All right.
But like if it's for the best to just dip for a little bit,
Just dip
do
for a little bit.
do that. Do you
Please.
right. Like
I don't want to fight you on the side of the street. Like,
yeah, no,
please,
I think we can
just
all agree with that.
we also have Stormzy and Ray coming out with a song called "The Weekend." We love
I think
British rap.
I think we gotta retire this as a name for things.
There's so many songs. And it's a whole major artist now. It's just we need
We
to
gotta
change it.
retire
Come up with
that.
a new
Like,
name.
just one of those things, man. Like you gotta at least put a third and fourth word in it. Like
just
you just gotta at least have like
that is
it can't just be the weekend. Like
no more The Weekend. It's not allowed anymore.
it
The
could
Weekend
be
is
over the
so much
weekend.
fun.
That's fine. It could be next weekend. That's great. Like
This is not
the
weekdays.
weekends.
Say
That combination of sounds, no more.
This is hilarious. One
Not
of my
gonna
friends,
listen to it actually, out of principle. Like,
we're gonna listen to it.
I'm on strike.
There's this song also called "The Weekend," I think by Mac Miller.
Yeah,
No,
that
it's
is
just "Weekend" by Mac Miller. And one of my friends, while in college, his roommate had this as like an alarm. It was literally the song "Weekend" featuring Miguel as the alarm. He was like, "If I ever hear a song called "Weekend" again, I'm gonna murder somebody." So
Yeah.
like, I'm excited for it to show him.
Dude,
This song, basically.
there's when you do not set a song you like up as an alarm. You will grow to hate it, and you will never
Absolutely.
recover.
I am scarred. I'll be at work and I'll hear the Apple alarm, the generic one go off. I'm just like, oh,
PTSD.
God.
PTSD.
Where am I?
I feel like a dog on the 4th of July. Just like, ah, ah, ah.
Flashbacks. But yeah, we have that song coming out. And last but not least, we are through all the singles. The last one we have Diplo featuring Polo G coming out with the song Heartbroken. Excited to see this as well. I'm actually going to see a Lilium this weekend. So I've been trying to get a little bit more in that genre. So
No, you're
I'm excited.
full EDM now.
I wouldn't say full, but I'm getting
Full
into it.
EDM. It's okay. Ooh, we both got busy
Look,
weekends.
London did it to me. I can't say it.
Oh,
When I
you
went
did
to
in
the show in
London.
London, it was pretty
In
dope.
London, you went to jolly old England, and now you have to.
You're about to get us banned in the UK.
I don't care. Like everything bad started there. Like
I mean, you're not wrong, but
the plague, us,
okay.
Doctor Who. Need I go on? Eels as food? Who does that?
The Japanese.
Well, the Japanese at least make them in the stock.
And it wasn't stolen. They came up with it.
Or sushi, you know.
That's true. Okay, we'll give you sushi.
Oh my god.
But on to the actual news that we have this week.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of actual news. There's one thing that I found that I just want to play with because it's something I've thought about before.
Yeah.
Essentially, Bovada Casino is accepting bets on when Playboi Carti will drop his next album.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna lie, I would bet on this.
Yeah.
Just like $1.
First off, like I love like culture bets, which are like an entire thing. Like first off, like the gambling market in politics is like heavily scrutinized because like it, you know, it's an index. It's how people are feeling about things. The other thing that's like super popular for people to bet on is like casting. Like right now, like I think there's a casino that has like a huge like odds on like who's going to be the next James Bond. And like, so like there's like cultural casting all the time, like cultural like betting all the time.
Yeah.
I have never heard about it for an album though.
I mean,
this is the first time I've ever heard it for an album. But like,
this reminds me.
Go ahead.
This reminds me of The Simpsons. They did it for Who Killed Mr. Burns back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
When they dropped the murder mystery in 2 parts, it's like Mr. Burns gets shot. Who did it? And there was like an old photo of like, I think it's Caesars, where they had a big board up and it was the odds for each of the Simpsons characters.
Yeah.
As far as like bringing the culprit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the bit was that the person who did it like wasn't even one of them.
Yeah.
Because it was Maggie, the baby.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So like this stuff has happened before, but it's just like it's cool and like, yeah, this seems like. First off, like I bet Playboi Carti and people who use betting apps have like a shockingly high crossover.
They will be taking all their money.
Yeah. So yeah, this is fun. I like this.
It's this concept. This was kind of new to me, to be fair. I'm super excited to get into this because, like, again, this is something I'll throw $1 on just for fun, and also just like the idea of like investing in stocks. I found like a creator years ago who would like find brand new artists and be like, "How much would you invest in this person?" Just like, oh, like I'll put $10 in them, and then like in 2 years, if they blow up, I get like $50. I would love to have that concept.
Sure, it's just every time because I've seen it. I've had friends who are artists who like have done things like that, especially like before 2020, like in crypto, and it's like this is always a scam. Like, I wish there was a way to do it like legitimately, you know. And I guess like just like being like, I think the thing is that like there's no way to do it that's just more efficient than just consistently buying their merch and seeing them live. Like,
we're gonna create a stock market too next to the other one for a culture only.
I refuse to create for the any stock market.
But yeah, that's all the stuff that I want to go through. There's also a Spotify thing. What did somebody find a Spotify?
Yeah, apparently they changed the icon on from a heart to a plus thing because now it's
I forgot about that.
And I don't know, like I get like why people are upset about the icon, but I like now that it's double featured because now like when you press it, it used to just add it to your like songs, but now you can like hold it and automatically add it to like your own playlist. So like it's a lot more efficient if you routinely add like albums at a time to playlists, which I do.
Yeah.
But I understand like from a design purpose, it just doesn't have the character of the old art.
I just learned something new. I did not know you can like do that.
No.
I'm sorry. Okay, I got
An-
distracted.
Another thing about it that's really annoying, and this is just like I think this predated the Plus, but if you're using, so if you're looking at your phone and you've got little title card for Spotify where it's like the different options on the lock screen, right? It'll be like play, forward and back, or forward and back, and then usually the plus or the heart is on the right side.
Okay.
But
They
then
moved it?
no, they didn't move it. It's still there. But if you use the DJ icon appears there now, and it
Yeah.
shifts over to the other side of the control stack.
Yeah,
And it's like,
the-
why would you not just put the DJ on the left and leave this thing always in one spot? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, the UI for
valid,
the
yeah.
DJ is not great. I
No.
still like it as just like a thing to listen to music, but like
Me too.
as impressive as it was at launch, it has not improved much. Like
It has not improved much, and it feels very like slapped on. It doesn't feel like there's cohesion in the way it's
Yeah.
like carried out in the app.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Like I was initially impressed, and like I feel like that was valid and legitimate, but yeah, no,
At this
just
point,
from a
you-
design level, I don't think it's like utilized. It's like Threads, right? Like I like it because it's like not as toxic as Twitter, but like it's objectively a worse app, and like Twitter boots you after you see 600 tweets.
I think it was for a day. I think you reverted.
Yeah.
it was so bad.
Oh, I
reverted.
hear people talking about it all the time. Still, like people I work
Is that
with are
still a
always
thing?
like,
Maybe I
yeah,
just don't go through it. I don't know.
yeah.
That's very fair. I haven't been on it as much, I would say. But yeah, that's pretty much all the news. Actually, as I sit here and go through this, because I opened up Twitter to look at it. Drake is leaving a hotel with a dog mask on, so I guess this is now the official rollout season for his album as well, called "For All the Dogs." So
Wow, he's wearing like a puppy
fresh off
mask.
the
Like a
presses.
weird. I hate this. I hate puppy Drake.
Puppy Drake, are we really gonna do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let's just get right into our topic for the
Our
evening.
main topic. We ready for Vince Staples? Let's talk about Vinny Boy.
Let's get right into it.
All right. So, Purvis, we were like, okay, I think it's time to do an artist profile episode, and you suggested Vince Staples. Why?
Why Vince Staples? If I'm being honest, I was shocked to see Vince Staples at Summer Smash.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because he's a bad artist or anything, but he just didn't really fit the vibe of the rest of the venue. And it
Yeah.
was pretty obvious. And from what I know of Vince Staples, which is actually why I like him the most, his personality is very like by himself, standoffish, not in a rude way, but like
He's
just
a-
focuses on,
Yeah.
and like I love that aesthetic of like he's so off to the side doing his thing. He does not care about the drama in the industry.
Yeah,
he
he
doesn't
is-
care about who's
He's a
streaming.
relatively big name, but like, yeah, he feels like completely isolated without the negative connotation. Like on his own, like doing his own thing.
at peace.
Yeah, just really at peace. And like, it's hard to knock the results.
It's not,
It
and
is
I think it's
really
it's
hard to knock the
something like
results.
that. Yeah,
Because like, I wasn't able to listen to everything. I did not re-listen to the two most recent ones, Vince Staples and Ramona Park Broke My Heart. But I listened to those guys when it came out, because by then I was already on the Vince Staples train. But yeah, dude, going back, I was able to re-listen to Summer 06, Big Fish Theory, just FM, just classic albums. And I got to re-experience Hell Can Wait and Prima Donna for the first time. And man, like his catalog is just one to be reckoned with. You know,
absolutely.
and he and it does seem like he's just on a significant and like gradual, but like definitely happening like upward tick, don't you think?
No, I fully agree with all that because he's been so consistent throughout his albums. I didn't realize this man used to drop an album every single year for 5 years straight, like that
Yeah.
is difficult.
Yeah,
And
like that's
it's
a
impressive.
work ethic,
Exactly. And
right?
they're
Like
all very good.
yeah, no, all of them are like really really good. Uh it, there's one Summer '06 I think gets a little long in the tooth.
Hmm.
Uh
And he's not known for longer albums either, so
no,
it
he's
makes
not.
sense.
Yeah. I think
It's 2 albums
but
in one, really.
still like it's really like on a song by song level, it just completely
Mhm.
works.
No,
So, Jasper, what was your first experience with Vince Staples?
Backpack.
Backpack?
Backpack. Yeah, the single.
Okay.
Um,
When did that come out?
partially because of the Black Panther rollout, because that was the featured song for the trailer.
Really?
So yeah, that was my first ever, and I was like, this hits. I hope this is on the soundtrack for the movie, and it wasn't, and I was heartbroken.
Damn, I did not know that
Yeah.
was on the soundtrack.
Yeah, that was like the original Black Panther
Yeah, there were two
like
trailers.
teaser.
There was one with
Yeah.
Vince Staples, and there was one with Run the Jewels.
Okay. No, that makes sense then. Okay.
Yeah,
Because I was looking at his acting career too, so that does make
Yeah,
sense.
that's the other thing is that like I didn't realize how like he's not an example of like a hip hop guy who like became an actor, right? Like they are intertwined. Like he was like I kind of expected him to go back to 2010, 2011. And when I saw that like his first like big project was 2014,
Mhm.
I was shocked because like he was in Dope in 2015.
I wonder how he gets so connected so quickly. Now that you mention that, because I honestly I had no idea.
I wonder if it was just like he always just had the two things, right?
I think it's where he's from too.
Yeah, he's from LA.
He's from Compton, right? So
Yeah.
it's like that's a community, and
Yeah, that's just
people
like
tend to.
that is just like kind of like what's in your backyard, right?
Yeah,
And like as someone who has seen Vince Staples in a lot of things now, like he's not a bad actor by any stretch. I have yet
No.
to see him because apparently he has a relatively meaty role on the second season of Abbott Elementary,
Okay.
and I've seen the first season, and that show's incredible.
I haven't seen it. I've been
Oh
wanting
my
to.
god, it's really good. I'm very much over the mockumentary sitcom style, but this one is just so well written, it's disgusting.
Really?
It's so funny. Yeah.
I'll have to see it then.
Yeah, it's about an inner city Philadelphia school. It's really funny.
I can already see what his character's gonna be. I can like assume
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. Oh, Zach Fox is in it too. Like,
The heck?
yeah, it's
Okay.
good.
It's a bizarre combination, but I
Yeah.
obviously it's worked because I'm pretty sure they just won some award. or
They
something
win
like
a bunch of awards every year,
Oh,
rightfully
okay.
so.
But
Uh,
well, what was your introduction, Brandon? When did you first find the Vince Staples?
North.
What was the first album? North? Okay.
Yeah, well, the song North, and I remember he was in the Sprite commercials too. Like,
Oh,
yeah, like really early in his career.
Yeah.
And like I remember it was right because I was on Spotify back then, and I remember that was like right when because Spotify used to not even have like any kind of social features. Like they would like you would be able to share playlists with your friends, but like there wasn't like Spotify, top 40 rap caviar, like all those curated playlists. Like in 2015, were very new. And I was really into them, and I had heard North, and obviously that song's iconic,
Right. It's
and
probably one of his most famous.
it's probably his most famous song, and that combined with the Sprite thing, I was sold. I was like, funny guy, good song. I listened to Summertime '06 when it came out. I liked it back then. I listened to it like maybe 3 or 4 times in that era, and that was like it. I kind of moved past it and didn't really lock into them until Big Fish Theory, which I listened to like a year after it came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I found him as well, which is surprising. I didn't find him until Big Fish Theory.
Yeah.
I enjoyed a couple singles on it, but I think I was too young to understand
Yeah,
his
no,
aesthetic or
Big Fish
vibe.
Theory is like a really that's probably my favorite of his albums. I think
Mhm.
that's kind of veering close to a classic for me. I love Big Fish Theory.
It's really good, yeah.
Uh and but it's a headier album than what he
Mhm.
usually does. And I think like he he was really good like a Denzel Curry, like a Jid, like operating on both levels, having a song that's just like fun to like listen to and bop your head that and also like has some substance to dig into.
Mhm.
Uh
And that's the thing. When I
yeah.
first found it, I didn't know how to dig into it. One, and like two is just like you're still discovering the genre and like the more meaningful stuff. When you
Yeah.
first enter the genre, you're pay more attention, obviously, because it's what's on the radio. To just like it's the hits, it's the upbeat
Yeah.
tempo, it's the happy stuff. Like when you find someone like a Vince Staples, you can't really appreciate them. And
Yeah.
so, like once Vince Staples, the self title came out, I was like, oh, I get it now. Like I'm old enough to fully understand like the
Yeah.
quality in this type of music.
Yeah.
And like I did a full deep dive on his whole discography, and it's just like, how is this man so consistent? The first
It
thing I
is
thought of was,
obscenely consistent. Like
yeah, it's insane. I
yeah.
The first thing I think about is Pusha T. That's the immediate comparison for me.
Yeah,
Is
that's an
Pusha T.
that's an excellent comparison, right?
It just
Like
makes sense. Everything's consistent. It's enough done where it tweaks between the albums, but like you don't get tired of it. It's such high quality. You love it.
yeah, I would maybe say I think Vince Staples has a little bit more development along his
Yes.
path uh as
Then
Pusha
Pusha
T.
T. Mhm.
Um and Pusha T, he has like a very specific, well-refined sound. And I think Vince Staples definitely plays with a wider palette. Like he kind of exists all across the West Coast sounds.
Mhm.
And I mean, and that's why I liked them. Like Summertime '06 is like my and it's a summer album, and like
Yeah.
it's a G summer like it's a G funk California. Like you can feel the heat off of it. It really
Yeah.
was like a prime song to listen to right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was really my first solid introduction to him.
I got you.
Yeah. Um. So, perfect. How do you see Vince Staples like in the larger like rap conversation?
Um, I think Vince Staples is actually extremely important to the culture, as even though he may not pull in the biggest crowd. When I think of a Vince Staples, I don't want to say he like laid the foundation, but I think he was an important factor to see future people come up, whether it be like a Mavi, whether you be like an Isaiah Rashad, um, even someone like a Jid, like where they have their own niche culture. I think it's so important to have this kind of foundation and know that like you don't need to be such a like huge hip hop name. Not everyone's gonna be Drake almost. And
Obviously, yeah,
so I love that like people like him exist where like you can find new music in the genre. This is what grows hip hop as a whole, I think, is finding people like Vince Staples. Because it
yeah,
gives you such a unique niche opportunity to find something new and learn that like hip hop is much bigger than you expect it to be.
yeah, and like areas of hip hop never truly die, right? Like
Mhm.
I think it's fair to say, especially in the 2010s, right? Like we were dominated by the trap sounds,
Right.
the Atlanta sound, like kind of
It's all you heard.
the alt R&B kind of sound, like your Drakes, your Party Next Doors, your Weekends,
Mhm.
and then still a lot of like the soul sample stuff. So like G Funk and like that whole like West Coast like like breed of it, like it's easy to think that it's just gone away, but
Mhm.
I think people like Vince Staples keep it alive, and he does it completely grab that sound on every single project. But I think it's just like a core part of like who he is as a rapper, and I think like he's kind of always carrying that torch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's actually a really good take.
yeah,
I don't know. It just kind of works for me. I really enjoy having this set aside
yeah,
because uh, you have those traditional people, like you said, the West Coast, and you have the East Coast. Like it
yeah,
used to be Tupac versus Biggie almost.
yeah,
And you don't really hear stuff like that happen as much.
Yeah. Well, now because there's so many different places, like
That is true.
you
Yeah.
know, like now you have, you know, back then, like California and New York is who was making hip hop, but now you have, you know,
Chicago,
like
Detroit, Atlanta.
Texas, Atlanta, and Memphis all making completely different styles and all claiming Southern rap. You know what I mean? Like
That is actually very true.
it's been dispersed, and that's not even to count like it going international. You know, even though it does seem like hip hop is always going to be centered in the country where it was born.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, and now I think the benefit of like that big like decentralization and having like all these different movements everywhere, and even different movements like within like areas, you know, like it's easy to forget that like drill and Griselda came up in the same general area at the same general time.
That is true.
And like those sounds, like I think like they work pretty well on a playlist together, all things considered, but like they're very core different approaches to the genre, and they're both dope. Like I got zero issue with either sound. So yeah, I think like in that shattering, Vince Staples kind of finds that pocket, and I think he keeps it alive.
Yeah, I fully agree. Jasper, what do you think about like Vince Staples and how he sits within the community? Do you think like he plays a specific role then or anything like that? Has it changed over time from what you know about him?
I don't know if he plays a specific role in my experience in the culture personally. I mean, he's someone who I've come across and like listened to multiple times. The album that always stuck with me was Big Fish Theory, just because of like my positioning to it when it released, and being able to be receptive of like new sounds and new music at the time. But it's one of those things where it really, like, the Pusha T comparison to me feels right on, because Pusha T is someone who I consider to be in peak form when it comes to lyricism, creativity, and doing more with less. I don't necessarily think that Pusha T is someone who strictly has the capacity or necessarily even has the desire to just further the culture for the sake of furthering the culture. I think Pusha T wants to talk about what he wants to talk about. And I think in some ways Vince Staples is a little bit like that. I feel like in going back and listening to some of these albums, you know, Big Fish Theory gets into some of those bigger cultural issues and identity issues. But then you look at the self-titled album, and then the latest one, Broke My Heart. And both of those feel like they touch on those things as well, but it also feels more so almost nostalgic or autobiographical in a way that is less so, I guess, a criticism, not a criticism, but a critique or an analysis of the larger culture, and more so like an exploration of the past, at least in my view. And that was like kind of the way I interpreted those two going through them recently.
Yeah.
But I do see that, like, I can tell that he's been impactful, and his sound has clearly like had an impact on other people who have kind of come after that or since then as well.
Yeah, I honestly fully agree with that, because the main important thing that you said, in my opinion, was like how he focused on what he truly wants to focus on. And like I think that is expressed throughout everything he does, whether it be his music, his acting, his personality within interviews. Like, and I was trying to explain that earlier without him saying like, oh, he's selfish or self-centered, but like he only cares about like what he wants to care about. I think that's very unique. He's not fake, essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no fakeness to it.
He is like
doesn't
one of
really
the
feel
most
serious.
authentic voices, I would
Exactly.
say, you know. Like he's one of those people who like, same with Yachty. Like I see him in a Sprite commercial and I'm like, they're having fun. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and it just kind of works. I was literally just watching one of his interviews recently. I forgot what it was for, but it was a very light-hearted topic. Like, he's actually extremely funny, and he was saying like, "Oh, like, has anyone ever been to your house?" He was like, "No one comes to my house. Like, no one ever comes to my house." He was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You don't have friends over?" He was like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Sit in my house?" He's like, "No, I don't have friends over." It's just like, you think
that's
about
so
it, it's
funny.
just like,
That's so
who says he
funny.
doesn't have friends over? It's just like, okay, well, what about like, do you have like any girl? Do you ever bring girl over? Just like, Okay. And what if she breaks up with you? Then she's gonna bring this person up. And I was just like, it's so nice to see someone just like play with it and have fun and like just be himself. Like, who cares what people
Yeah.
think? I'm gonna be myself. My home is my safe place.
Yeah.
And like that's so dope to me.
Yeah, no, he definitely has like a it's hard to it seems like he doesn't take himself or life too seriously.
Right.
And it seems like the only thing he takes seriously is like the quality of the music he puts out. You know,
Literally.
like that seems to be the only thing he really takes seriously.
It's either that or
and I
money.
say
He always
that-
talks about money.
Yeah. And I say that knowing that his last two albums have been a lot more serious, and they still have like his flavor, his personality. So like they're not. I would not describe them as joyless by any stretch, but they are, at least for me. And like once again, like I have at least a year of distance on those last two albums, but I listened to the self-titled at least 4 or 5 times because it definitely feels of a piece with Ramona Park Broke My Heart.
I just love the format of like his albums. I think it really helps
Yeah,
listen quality to it.
Yeah.
10 minutes or 10 songs, 20 minutes, like Vince Staples, like
Yeah.
you just mentioned. It's easy to listen to 3 or 4 times because
Yeah.
like the quality is that high.
And there's always like maybe not a concept, but there's always an idea there. There's always like a style there, right? Like even Summer 06, which I have a lot of fond memories of, and is probably the thing that like I was most disappointed to upon re-listening. Even that, like, it's just really easy to like get through. And it's just really easy to enjoy. And when we run through his discography, you know, I think it's clear from the beginning.
I was literally about to say Hell Can Wait is 7 songs long, or 7 songs and 23
Incredible.
minutes
My jaw was on the floor.
long.
Like,
Who was like 2014? It was such a high quality, easy to listen to song or album, I should say.
Yeah.
And like it was my first time listening to it. I listened to 6500 and I was like, this is like one
Yeah.
of the best songs ever.
Yeah, no, that was probably the most fun I had listening to any project going forward in this. And like that includes like Big Fish Theory, which is probably in my top 20 projects of that decade. Right? Like he just had that energy with him
It worked.
you know, and like to me, like it's very rare, right? Because a lot of times you go back, you listen to an artist's like old stuff, you know, you can usually see the germ of like what they'll become, right? And I think that's very fair for Vince Staples, right? You definitely see like, oh, like he's come so far, but like it still just hits though.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like compromised, and like that's rare for me.
And it's probably not done, if we're being honest.
No, he's not done. He's not even close to being done.
There's no reason to slow down.
Yeah. Like
You know what I think?
I feel like he's in. Oh, go ahead, Jasper.
I was gonna pivot it a little bit, so go ahead because I had a different point.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like he seems like he's in the same wheelhouse as Tyler, where like they just live like relatively normal, healthy lifestyles, like as far as like drugs and alcohol go, and it's like they will probably be of sound mind and body to be making music for another 20 years. So it's like
if they so choose, yeah.
Yeah, if they so choose, like they'll be able to, you know.
Absolutely. Jasper, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say one thing I really appreciated going through, and I didn't have time to go through all of them. I listened to 3, and I listened to 2 of them through twice. But going through, I really appreciate the fact that I feel like a lot of his signature sound is derived specifically from his low end. Like he's picked a very specific instrument to apply an effect to that carries through, and that's like the second I hear that, I know it's a Vince Staples song, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. That like distorted kick that he uses for the bass. Yeah, and it's just like it just hits, and anything he does over it, and anything he does with it, it immediately like puts it in that sound signature for me, and then also like it's a sound that I really enjoy, so it helps me like pace throughout a song. Yeah. So going back through, I did Big Fish Theory, I did Vince Staples, and then I did Ramona Park Broke My Heart. And my favorite song, I mean, Big Fish, I've loved 745 and Bag Bag for a long time. Yeah. But this is my first time listening to Ramona Park all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
and we had heard songs off of it when we saw him at Summer Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And Free the Homies has been living in
So
my head rent free since then, and
Very
this is
good.
for sure my favorite Vince
Yeah.
Staples song right now. Just because
Yeah.
like it's got everything. It checks all the boxes of like catchy songwriting. It's got the hook. It's got the good like instrumentation, percussion, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's an
Cali.
earworm. Total earworm.
I completely agree with you. I think
Yeah.
745 is still my favorite Vince Staples song,
It's so
but
good.
I totally agree with you on Free the Homies. Like that song.
I
is-
was this close.
and
to
I have
taking
not even
that.
I have
was
not
this
even
close
I have
to
not
taking
even heard that song in like a year, and like it's in my head now. Like
Yep. Oh my god.
so, if I
didn't
may,
wanna talk about it too much, but
I
I was
wanna-
this close to
yeah.
sitting at tea.
So I want to pivot here because like we can sit here and we could talk like just give Vince Staples his flowers all day, and we will when we go through his discography.
Mhm.
Right.
But I guess my question is, first off, like where do you put him like almost generationally? Like why don't we talk about Vince Staples in comparison to like J. Cole or Kendrick? Why don't we talk about Vince Staples when we talk about Jid and Denzel? You know, it doesn't, because like it is true. Like if you just like go back, you like think about our conversations. You know,
You know,
like
yeah.
like whenever Vince is a point of conversation, I think we give him all the credit he's due, which is all of it in the world. But like he just doesn't come up in our conversations, and I want to know why, or I want us to at least investigate why. And I
If I
think,
ha-
go ahead, Jasper.
I was gonna say if I had to categorize him, I would put him closer to Odd Future than anything.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with that.
Um,
Sounds.
So
Good work.
he's 30. He was born in 93. Yeah. But I know that he early on collaborated with Odd Future on some things and was adjacent, kind of like the whole like LA, California scene. And I think that's kind of part of why he may not be in the same breath. Like Jid, similar in terms of age demographic, but
Pretty
totally different background, different upbringing. And fundamentally, I think it is a very different style. I'm
It is
not
a very
so-
different style. Like and I get that. Like those are just like examples I'm pulling out. But like,
Mhm. Yeah, and then Denzel Curry is Florida, so you've got the entire country dividing the
Yeah.
two as
Yeah,
well.
that's
So
true.
I think influence-wise, they're the fact that they are influenced, I think, by very different artists.
yeah,
And that's I don't know that for sure. Just like based on what I've heard of their music, they sound like they're influenced by different
Yeah.
things. I think
Mhm.
that's a big contributing factor.
and like and even though I would say like Jid, Denzel, and Vince all put out like similar quality projects,
hmm
I think it's fair to say that just by virtue of what they want to make, Jid and Denzel's are just closer to the popular sound, which is trap,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Which I think is totally fair. I guess like I'm just wondering like for us personally, because like something I've been thinking about just like in various things is just kind of about like the ineffability of art, like how like when something genuinely is a work of art, there's an element to it that just isn't quantifiable. It's like purely emotional, right?
Mhm.
And I actually arrived at this position kind of bizarrely when I saw the new Mission Impossible movie, because I'm like, this movie is incredible. I love this. I love it. Like I really enjoy this movie, but for some reason I just preferred some of the other Mission Impossible movies,
Okay.
and it's just like, I don't have a reason why. I just did. Like, I just preferred those works of art, and I wonder if Vince Staples is kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, like I go back, I listen to it, and when I'm able, like when I'm doing it consciously, and like I'm being critical and I'm thinking about it, and like I'm doing it for a reason, it's a very rewarding experience. But like, there's just that ineffable part of it, for me at least, just hasn't sparked. And maybe this week will change that, because that's something that is completely subject to change.
I think one thing that may be a factor in that, and I had something kind of similar where whenever I listen to him, whenever he comes on in my liked rotation, it's definitely a breath of fresh air. It sounds different to a lot of the
Yeah.
other stuff,
I
like
feel
my
this very
my other
similar-
contemporaries.
I feel very similar about Anderson .Paak, where it's
Yeah.
like I love listening, like I love Anderson .Paak, but like I feel like I love him because I only hear him 3 times a year.
I think, for me at least, and maybe for you as well, for me, I think that stems from the fact that I would consider him to be more minimal in terms of his delivery not necessarily just lyrically, but in terms of his musical compositions in general.
Vince, you mean?
Yeah, Vince
I
being
would
more
100%.
minimal.
Oh, 100%. I would agree. He's lyrically dense, but I would say like performance wise and production wise, very straightforward and minimal.
Right.
Maybe
so I think
extravagant
that is,
on some, but nothing very.
Yeah,
Like an
I think that
you're right.
in the context of his latest projects, I think that that's a bit of a palate cleanser compared to the very like rich, kind of flowing, ornate trap sounds that you've gotten out of artists like Young Thug and Travis and other people in the space for so long.
Yeah.
But I also think it's kind of to his detriment because I personally was a little underwhelmed by the live show. Like, I think he's really good and he's a great artist, but the live show, his song selection was a little slower and like more low key than one of the more primetime spots I think afforded as far as his positioning in the festival. And I think it just kind of was to his detriment at that point. But it's one of those things where I think that minimalism is part of why he feels that way to us.
I think that's totally fair, and I think you hit some really solid points. I'd say like first off, I don't know personally if I gave Vince Staples his due when we were at Summer Smash. Right. Yeah. Like I just don't know if I was paying close enough attention to it.
We were kind of moving around.
Because we were kind of moving around. We were trying to get in position for Cuddy.
Yeah.
But like I agree with everything you're saying. Like you would think he would go out there and just do North for 30 minutes, and that's a joke. But
like Freddie Gibbs at the end of his set.
Yeah, dude, I don't care. I've seen him do that twice, and you know what? It goes hard every time. But
no complaints.
Yeah. But it's but yeah, it did seem like I'm gonna just part of the reason why I was so okay with that is because like I'm gonna go see Vince when he's on tour. Like like next time I can see Vince like at the United Center, I'm gonna be there. Like
give it its honest due. Like,
I'm gonna give it like and like look, if he was at a different festival, if he was at Pitchfork, if he was at Lala, I feel like it would have been a different vibe, and like maybe he could have like filled that pocket a lot better. But like he did seem oddly placed in Summer Smash, and like there's oddly paced and interesting, and then there's oddly paced and not, and I think Future was the latter.
Yeah.
Like he's has such a different audience than like who goes to Summer Smash, but like I think it worked for him. Yeah.
So
not as much as Vince.
Here's a question for you both.
No.
When inevitably Vince tours for another project, where in Chicago does he play? Like, what size of venue do you see him at?
I can. Aragon, maybe Radius.
I could see Radius too. Yeah. I could see him doing like a fun semi-secret style show at like Subterranean.
That I can totally see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I also think there's a good chance he pops up at festivals. I think that's like what is more likely thing. So I can definitely see him popping up at Pitchfork. But yeah, no, Oregon, Radius, maybe Salt Shed.
That'd be cool. House of Vans.
House of Vans would be sick. I would love House of Vans. That'd be sick. I'd be a big fan of that.
It's interesting because out of everything we said, I fully agree, Jasper. It would be something low key. Like
it would be off the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the answer, Brandon, your question earlier. Like, why don't I play him as often, or why don't we speak about him as often? I don't think he wants to be like brought up like that. That's the thing.
I think to a certain extent you're right. Like, I think to a certain extent.
I just realized something.
Go ahead.
He acts, right? It would have been a really interesting role to see him try and play from a recent film would be Dan Kalia's character from Nope.
Oh, that would have been fun. Yeah, you're right.
Because he's like Mr. Reclusive, wants to live out on his family farm and like get a pig.
That's the only thing.
What's that?
He just doesn't look mean enough or big enough.
Yeah,
because like it's a farmer kind of lifestyle. But
he's pretty ripped. He's pretty ripped.
Jasper, I fuck with the vision. I fuck with the vision, but Daniel Kaluuya is like one of the best actors today.
It just worked.
Like,
I know it does work. It does work. But I would love to see him
like,
stretch his acting legs.
I see what you mean though. I see what you mean though.
The vibe is there.
Yeah,
the vibe is there.
I fuck with the vision. I just I can't say no to Daniel Kaluuya.
No,
Ever.
I don't blame
Uh,
you. Yeah,
God,
I'm
that
actually-
movie's so good. But we're not
It's
going to
really
talk about
good.
movies. Solidarity with the writers.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that. I actually had to look it up. I was genuinely curious. Vince Staples 5'8".
That's
I thought he
funny.
was taller.
damn,
That's like the movie star height, though. Like
that
that's
is
as,
the movie star. height.
that is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that is like literally as tall as you can be in star in movies.
What is 70 kilograms converted to pounds?
I don't know. Why are we looking this up?
No,
Dan,
because
Dan Kaluuya is 5'9".
That's interesting.
he's 155. I thought, but Dan looks big. Like he looks muscular. Vince Staples does not.
Photos of Vince Staples from recently do, and also he looked
Maybe he's been working out.
built at Summer Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I can.
I mean,
see
he's not Jaleel, but like
it.
Dude, Jalil's
He's got-
insane.
Look, that's an
Dude, we should
unfair
get Jaleel on the Bears. Like I
no,
Like-
get him on the
Leave him on running back.
cheerleaders.
yeah.
comparison. He'll be
I'm
doing
just like, Jaleel, there's bitches in the end zone.
Can you imagine if he sang the national anthem to open like a sporting event
be doing flips and flexing? ripping
I
the
would,
shit off.
dude. If
in like
the,
a mesh
Oh,
top?
God.
the greatest performance of the national anthem since Jimi Hendrix. Like-
Yeah. Also, stemming from last week, I think he also very much belongs in the club of people whose voices do not match their appearance
yeah, 100%.
at
yeah.
all. At all.
Completely
Super
agree.
high pitch.
All right. Do we want to do the discography and then we can kind of wrap this up and have like the very rare podcast length podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So
let's start
starting
off.
with wait.
How can wait? We kind of talked about it already, but dude, holy shit!
I was impressed. This
What
is the
a-
most impressive thing I've heard in a while.
What was name a better first project?
Snoop Dogg, that's it.
Yeah, House of Balloons.
I
Right.
mean, I would think you both would say like Chance, but that makes
Okay,
sense.
yeah.
I would maybe put this above 10 Day.
Oh well, I mean,
I-
10-day fair. I just don't. I don't know if I would
Don't
consider
mix
10-day one of them
Okay.
because of the circumstances. But
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was the first time I got to listen to it, and like, damn, was I surprised. I genuinely went into it with the expectation because there's so many first albums of artists that I've gone back to discover. Where I'm just like, let me just lower my expectations. It's not the person that I know today. It's like it's the come
You
up.
absolutely you have to, and like it keeps it more enjoyable. Bringing your expectations down lets you get like a more realistic
And
and
just enjoy it, right.
Yeah.
This does not fit that qualification. Like I played Hell Can Wait, and as soon as it came on, I was like, oh, like he's been doing this for a decade. Like he's been at this quality for a decade. I will say I don't think the beats are as good as his newer projects.
Yeah.
Projects. But
That's
the
like
lyrics-
that's an inherent vice. Like that is the thing I am going to give him.
absolutely. But the lyrics are there.
Yeah.
It's fully there. The quality's
know-
there. Everything.
this is the real house is burning.
Interesting.
Also, yeah, the album artwork reminds me of if House is Burning and Boys in the Hood were like a single thing.
Yeah.
Just put together
Yeah.
all these Cali influences.
Yeah.
I mean, and who knows? We could be getting houses burning because of something like this. Like
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah, no, because like it's all like tied into that,
Mhm.
And I do think like Vince Staples, maybe a little bit of the belly effect where like 2014 was a big year for another California rapper. And
can you do?
and like it's kind of impossible to like not get sucked up into the gravity of it,
That's true.
So, what are your feelings on Summertime '06? Because I've gone into mine in that I think it's extremely good on a song by song level, but like I do think Vince Staples, when he gets over that 45-minute mark, it kind of gets boring for me. I'll keep it real. At least this one.
Honestly, that makes sense because like he's much more solid in shorter projects.
Yeah.
And the way that I look at Summertime, at least like originally when I first listened to this, I was like, "There's like 6 bangers on this," and then there's the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Not that the rest of the album's necessarily bad, but it's such a large jump between what's really good and what's not.
Yeah.
And I think that does come from like it's just the natural length of it. It's set up
Yeah.
on Spotify as this one, this two. I think if I'd listened like, oh, this is 2 projects, I would have enjoyed it more, probably.
I totally agree with you. Because like on mine, it doesn't show up as disc 1, disc 2.
No?
No, but maybe I'm listening
It does. It does for me, like on the Spotify app.
Yeah.
The way I would see a project like this, like if I were listening to it practically, is like if I'm driving somewhere, I put it on. I listen to the first disc on the way there and the second disc on the way back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I do with the Blueprint Part 2, which is
Yeah.
a absolute clusterfuck of an album.
Yeah. So like, yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's not bad by any stretch in any capacity. It's a little unwieldy.
Part 1's
And-
better.
Huh?
Part 1 is better as well.
Oh, I
And that
agree.
does-
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And that does, yeah, and it never helps,
Yeah.
like I definitely think like if like the overall quality is the same, I think having a better ending is always going to at least lead to the illusion of a better album experience.
It's true.
Yeah,
That's
some kind of
that's a
auditory
real
mirage.
thing, though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
no,
agree.
There's actually a book that Purvis saw me reading in the office a while back called Thinking Fast and Slow by Dan Kahneman, who's like a behavioral analyst, and he does stuff in econ as well.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing about pain and how people interpret pain and pleasure, and if something intensifies or improves significantly toward the very tail end of the experience, even if the rest of the experience was consistently a certain way, people will associate their feelings with that tail end.
Yeah.
So having an album that closes strong, I think, is more likely to yield a more positive experience.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Mm.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay.
So yeah, like that's just this is the one where it's not a complete layup for me. And Prima Donna, I liked. I think my thing is I definitely can see myself going back and listening to a lot more Vince Staples, and there's just a lot more to enjoy. Like I think it's fair to say all 4 projects that come out after Prima Donna are superior, and I'm certain that like if I heard that when it came out, I would have fucking loved it because it is a really solid piece of work. I listened to it, yesterday and today on my way to the office. So it's a really easy, quick listen.
I noticed that after Summertime 06, the number of features drops off pretty significantly. He has no features on Big Fish or FM. Which is
again, he's in his own lane, doing his own thing.
No, there's the features are unmarked.
Oh, are they entirely?
Yeah, there's a Kendrick
There's a
Lamar
Kendrick
feature.
one,
There's
yeah.
a Kendrick
Oh,
Lamar.
that's right. I totally forgot about that. That's weird because Spotify usually will still list the artist underneath the song. I'm surprised it doesn't catch that.
Yeah. They might not be formally credited at all.
Newer stuff at least,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that that's like an overall true like take. I just there's a couple.
There are some.
There are some.
No, you just reminded me. I completely forgot about that.
And I mean, like I think Big Fish album is definitely Big Fish Theory is
peak
Vince Staples. I mean, it's hard to say peak, right? Because like FM feels like a kind of a release from that, and it feels like almost like a little bit more focused version of Summertime 06. I like it. I like it more than Prima Donna and Summertime 06, but not as much as Big Fish Theory or the other two. And
now is FM technically an EP?
I think that one's actually fairly long.
It says album here. It's 20. It is only 22 minutes, but it's 11 songs.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so weird because all of his albums are like, shorter and
fairly short. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's got three tracks on this that are 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I lied. It's an album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just very, very brief.
Right.
And like Vince Staples really came out at the time where like the barrier between mixtapes and albums is just like eroding, right?
Yeah.
One of the things about Hell Can Wait is like you listen to it and like it is obscene that is an album and Acid Rap is a mixtape. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, but
This
go ahead.
to me has big quiet energy.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Like the Gambino album, just in terms of like structuring.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like you've got a lot of tracks that are like kind of stand out by themselves, but then you've got a number of like interludes or other things that take away from it musically and then put it into more of like a not discussion based, but more of like a
Yeah, no, it's a different experience. It's good in its own right, but it kind of ruins the overall album experience if you're looking for something strictly musical.
yeah, and it like tries to set a stage almost.
Yeah.
Like Jaden Smith's monologues
Yeah,
and rhymes totally do that for Kawhi,
Yeah.
right? Where it's
Yeah,
like something
it's-
similar.
And like it's not bad, but it's a little much. That at least that's how I feel like with Kawhi, and I feel similarly.
Mhm.
So, Purvis, where
For
do you think? Do you think he peaked with a Big Fish Theory,
I think he has two
or
major.
assuming it's not in the future? Because that's the thing about Vince Staples. I
You're
would
right,
say
yeah.
is that he is 100% an artist that I think like his peak could be way ahead of us
Mhm.
because like this dude is a force to be reckoned with creatively.
I fully agree with that. Definitely starting off with saying that like it could potentially still be coming. But at least from what we've heard so far, even though Vince Staples was very like minimalistic and very straightforward with his music, where he doesn't care about all the other genre, he focuses on what he cares about. I think there's still two different specific things that he focuses on in his projects. Where I feel like Prima Donna, Vince Staples, Ramona Park are almost like biographical like
Yeah,
products.
they're like, they're
And
autobiographical. That's the thing.
exactly.
Like, yeah.
Hell
I have
can
a-
wait. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have a super quick question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Would we say that Ramona Park Broke My Heart is kind of like Vince Staples' Michael for Killer Mike?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
hate that comparison. I think of
Mike-
It's not nearly on
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
personal level.
yeah.
But
I just think Michael. I think his age is a huge context for Michael.
Totally,
But yes,
totally.
I definitely, it definitely feels like a more raw, unreal, like real. Definitely in the vein of Michael 444, Mr.
Mhm.
Morale, and the Big Steppers. Like it all feels like of a piece with that.
Exactly.
And I wish we did reviews when it came out because we would have reviewed it.
Yeah, we would have. Honestly.
Yeah.
But in terms of those three albums being like pulled together, then you have Hell Can Wait, Summertime, Big Fish Theory, and FM, where it's more like these are just kind of like vibes. It sets a tone. It gives you an idea of like just California. You can genuinely, you don't have to listen to it as a whole album either if you really don't want to get like the general gist of it. And so I feel like because of all that, I get two different sounds with Vince Staples. So I think the Big Fish Theory is the peak in terms of just like
Yeah.
creating the vibe, creating
The California.
right an aesthetic, a storyline behind it, things like that. And then I think Vince Staples is his best. Like this is my childhood. This is what I care about. This is my personal things. So I think those are the two peaks in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I feel that. And like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to. Peak is like a really dicey word because it's like, it
I've been using
implies.
peak a lot because of gaming.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it definitely feels like sonically Big Fish Theory and conceptually, I'd say Big Fish Theory were like really where he shines. And I think that album is still my favorite. But yeah, no, Ramona Park Broke My Heart and Vince Staples were just like so raw and like ready.
so well
And
done.
also not like a complete bummer, which is like that's the thing you're fighting against a little bit with like those albums is like, is this going to just bum me out? And like I think Ramona Park does a good job of being real and raw without going that far.
I do have a slightly differing opinion here. I agree that I think in terms of how we've seen his sound evolve so far, if we had to pick peak Vince Staples for artist that sounds like Vince Staples or album that sounds like Vince Staples, I think Big Fish Theory is undisputed. But I at least for me, maybe it was just fatigue from listening to a lot of him today on the like prepping for this, but I found Ramona Park Broke My Heart to be, I think, a more fleshed out and like a more well executed version of Vince Staples. I think that a lot of the ideas on Vince Staples, he like kind of touches on and brings forward, but then he really kind of fleshes out and actualizes in Ramona Park. But that was just based on me going through both of them like today. So I would need to go back like get over and re-review.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at the take. They're both very good.
No, yeah, I don't.
I understand.
Yeah, no, that's a completely defendable position.
Yeah.
Like I completely.
Plus, it has Free the Homies. I understand.
No, it's
Yeah,
an incredible album. It is 100% an incredible album.
I don't know. I don't want in jail, but like, I would have freed the homies if I had one wish. Like,
it was just the humming at the end of Vince Staples. It just hit. It was the Kid Cudi I needed when it wasn't enough Kid Cudi at the time.
There was a shortage of Kid Cudi.
Right. Where was the humming that I needed?
Kid Cudi's on strike. No more humming. Like,
for me, it's the three bass hits that follow up like everything, where it's like bump, bump, bum, and it carries like that hook for me is just like earworm, 100%.
I respect it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah, that was our foray into Vince Staples. I say next time we have a slow period, I say we dive into one of these for a deep dive. I think any of these albums, I think, besides maybe Prima Donna, is like primed for a deep dive.
Well, we're here for it.
Yeah, dude. This was a good one. Thank you, Purvis.
What can I say?
All
right, next we're doing Big Shine.
No, I refuse. I refuse to listen to any Detroit rapper. You get your large Sean out of here.
Sizable Sean.
He is Babytron to me. Like,
all right. That is a cursed phrase.
You know what's super
worse
funny?
than death.
Yeah, you know what's super funny? I listened to like one or two of the songs by that BLP Kosher guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, much better. I enjoyed it so much more. Like I'm like, this is kind of hits. Like,
yeah.
Like this is like what I thought Babytron sounded like. When people say like, "Oh, Babytron's great,"
they were hyping him up. Yeah,
I thought he would sound like BLP Kosher.
Yeah, I went and.
Sorry, Joe.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say he was the one person in last year's XXL when we did the episode. We were just like,
"Nah, what's going on?
Like, what's going on here?"
Oh, we gotta do Triple XL. Let's do that next week.
We do have to do triple. I was just about to say it should be coming up any moment now, any week.
I
now?
think it's been out for
out?
a month or something.
Okay,
it's been out for a while, but I think it came out the same week as Summer Smash. So obviously.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't cover it. Yeah, Jasper, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I went and I looked up because I didn't catch as much of the Babytron set as you both did, so I didn't really have the perspective of like why is this not good. I went and I looked up some of the videos.
Yeah,
bro, I can't do it. I can't do it. I was like, and all the comments. I clicked on 3 separate videos and just like looked through them for like what it was. All the comments that I saw like at the top were like, surely this is the song that breaks him into the mainstream. Like this is it. Like this is the one. And it's
I don't get it, dude. I was getting food and people were like, this is better than Kid Cudi. And I'm like
I'm gonna punch you.
You got food during it. What are you talking about?
You're not even watching it now.
Dude, it's over there. You can still see it. Like you're not even turned in the right direction. Like
you can go watch it right now.
In the words of Michael Jordan, fuck them kids, bro.
And we stand on that.
Honestly, might need to start microchipping them. Anyway.
Next week we're doing XXL to talk about the next Babytron.
Yeah,
oh boy.
Babytron. All right.
Prepare yourself.
Recommendations?
Yep. Who wants to go first?
I went first last time.
Okay, I'll go first. I got served a banger of all bangers, undeniably one of the best songs ever released in my life. It's One Train starring A$AP Rocky and the entire Blog era.
Wow.
It's A$AP Rocky, Kendrick Lamar, Joey Badass, Danny Brown, Big Crit, Yellow Wolf back when he was cool.
There was a time when Yellow Wolf was cool.
He was on an A$AP Rocky song with Kendrick Lamar.
At the beginning,
valid.
There was
valid.
I feel like Yellow,
One Train. Wow.
Yeah, dude, One Train. And it's like, oh, this is all the artists who like would go on to become like legends for me and Yellow Wolf. Like, but you know what? At least we're not saying and Big Crit, because I was right about Big Crit.
We will give you that. It's okay. You can have it.
So yeah, I'm recommending One Train, A$AP Rocky, and I have it written as A$AP Rocky in the blog era.
In the blog area. Okay, I like that. Jasper, you ready?
I am. My first one is going to be a certified classic that we didn't hear enough DJs play at Summer Smash.
Oh,
when we
is
were
it
there.
Finito or whatever?
Finito?
Finito?
No, it's one that we didn't hear enough of. It's New Level.
New Level?
New
A$AP
Level.
Ferg. Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I like
Hell
that.
yeah, I like that.
I mean, we saw Future do it, but the DJs didn't spin it, which is crazy to me considering that I think this song is as much of a cult hit as something like Don't Like.
I
I
agree.
respect that. Okay. My first one, I forgot this group even existed, but do you guys remember Flatbush Zombies?
Yes.
Yeah, like, dude, like
I was never the biggest
really
fan, but I'm aware. I'm aware. Yeah, I like Flatbush.
I listened to some of the music recently because I think they had like something was re-released. I don't know if it was a vinyl or something, but I listened to the song "Bounce" by Flatbush Zombies, and damn, does it hit! Highly recommend going back. It just listen to a few of their songs, the biggest hits.
Yeah. No. All right, my turn. Okay,
Yep.
so one, I checked the doc 3 times to make sure I have not recommended this song before.
Oh boy,
And
okay.
it's a group I've recommended a shocking amount of times, but this is the summer song that has been released in my life. It is 90 degrees out. I was at a party today, and I had to put on something gold, so I've Brockhampton's Gold. That is one of the most iconic hooks of the 2010s, and no one can tell me otherwise.
I'm shocked we haven't did that song,
dude. Keep a gold chain on my neck, fly as a jet. Boy, better treat me with respect.
It's such a. They have a lot of great hooks,
dude. Hook God, I definitely think like if you're talking like hooks, Brockhampton is possibly number one.
Absolutely,
possibly number one. It's insanely dense with hooks, and yeah, Gold is just head to toe, just like an insanely good song. It's like chill and hype all at once. It's perfect. I love that song very much.
Oh yeah, I respect it. All right, Jasper, are you next?
Yes. Before I give it to you, I gotta ask you both a question. You ever like have a playlist on shuffle or whatever, and there's like a certain song comes on that turns whatever you're doing into like the opening credits of a movie?
Yes, After Dark.
Okay, yes.
After Dark. Yeah, well, After Dark is a certified classic. There's one for me that I don't think most people would associate with this, but for me, every time it feels like the start of a movie. Satellite Flight by Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the guitar riff intro into like a choir is insane.
Yeah.
And then just like the way he starts singing, it's like I'm walking and there I can see like the overlaid title cards with like written by, produced by, directed by.
Yeah. That's me in Vogue cover. Whenever Vogue cover comes on, I'm just like,
yep. Who am I right now?
Directed by Martin Scorsese. Got the works okay. Drawing on the Vogue cover. Marty directing my life.
Oh man,
amazing.
Okay, I respect. Now I need to find my movie intro song.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have.
It's like when we talked about like what would be our biographical album name.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do an episode on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that where we pitch our own albums about each other.
Absolutely.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
We'll do it soon. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna close this out then. My last song, believe it or not, is actually going to be another English rapper, Stormzy. I mentioned him earlier. He is releasing another song later on. But I went back and listened to Mel Made Me Do It. I think it came up on like a TikTok video, and I never knew it was actually like released as a full song. This song is so good. It's such a banger. And some of the like lyrics in there are so catchy. It's a flex song, so I highly recommend listening to it. And there's a couple of lyrics about soccer, so I'm going to put it anyway.
Okay, that's good. I think you think I hate soccer way more than I do.
No, I don't think you hate soccer.
I think soccer's pretty cool. I'm just not super.
I don't think you hate soccer.
No, yeah. It's just like I'm not super into sports, and there are at least 4 other sports I'd rather watch. But soccer is like cool. Like I like it. Like
Jasper, we're gonna get you to come to some soccer games then.
Only if you come with me to a racing event.
no,
Those are like 3 times expensive though.
yeah.
Wait, how much does soccer cost?
Dude, you can go watch the Chicago Fire for like $30.
Well, yeah, but that's the Chicago Fire. Like that's
We
like
should go to the
watching.
Bulls.
You could go watch Honda Civics drive around a parking lot for free, motherfucker. Like,
But I don't. Like,
but you could.
But I don't. Like
You just make that comparison. Look, what do you want me to tell you? I can't.
I can
fly you
watch
out to
football
England
for
to go
free
watch
too.
a Premier
Like
League
that's
game.
what I do.
I'm gonna be in Paris for 8 days in
Okay.
a later fall month. Just tell me where to go. I'll do it.
He's not
Okay,
doxing himself for Paris. Like,
Yeah.
No,
who's-
I'll put you onto something. You'll go see PSG, who has multiple stars on the team.
all
There
right.
you go.
Just
And I'm sure it'll cost just as much as going to a racing
It
event.
might, yeah.
just
it might.
quick thing. Jasper, who was in Paris?
Fellas.